Well, hello and welcome. Welcome to the Four Cs Youth Civility cohort training. This is actually our South Africa specific training today, but we welcome you all to our Youth Civility Leadership Training. And as you know, this is part two of our resilience as a leader training. So I want to welcome you all. Say hello. I'm glad to welcome you back to the Youth Civility class, especially part two session. The first part one on resilience as a leader with our dynamic guest trainer, Miss Robin Charrell. Part one, if you remember, we really started on something powerful. Hopefully, you guys continue through the past week with the journaling and the prompting and really considering what resilience is, the definition. We explored that in our first session. And we really discovered that resilience is not just about bouncing back, but it's about bouncing forward, right? And it's about a God given strength or a muscle, I think we learned as well that God has already given us and it's within us, right? It's like a weapon that we can use to overcome adversity, fear, doubt, right? Setbacks, things like that. So I just wanted to really invite you all to continue on this journey. I want these sessions not just to be, one, you listen in and that's not it. That's it. Just do it, do the assignment, but really start applying this to your daily life. I think internally you'll grow, and then also you'll see it have an effect on your relationships and your life, and certainly as a leader. So let's continue to go deeper, gain the knowledge through these series. And I pray that again you've taken some time to reflect, and hopefully that has given you some insight, right, to your strength and your potential. Okay, so we move forward. I'm grateful for today's speaker. The one thing that I just thinking about it was the purpose and the impact of journaling. And we've gone through that with our emotional intelligence training, and now having our guest trainer come back on resilience and still, honing in on journaling. And I want you to know, like, journaling can be pen and paper, but it can also be on your phone, on your tablet, right? We can use the digital resources as well. And a lot of times I'll do that through my notes and my apps, that I'll just journal digitally as well, just as things come. If it's a certain time during the day, I might have a break, right? You might just be sitting outside after school during your lunch at work. We all are in different places and spaces, but journaling can happen. I think I've also learned to do it a little bit at the end of the day, like a brain dump, just reflect on how the day went, what were the wins. And I think the journaling prompts that our guest speaker has shared with us on the last call has been helpful as well. So I hope the same for you. Anybody have any takeaways or anything that you want to share from the last session? Please put those in the comments. I'm sure our coach will open up the line a bit. But again, this session is for every young leader who's faced something hard, who had to choose to keep going. We all got to sometimes talk to ourselves, right? Encourage ourselves. It's for those who want to learn how to walk with grace through the pressures, but still show up for yourself and showing up for others. So we are going to do this, okay? We are going to take it to the next level, focusing on the four C's. I think this is a great time where we can really connect, but really learn how to be strong and compassionate as we lead with resilience. You guys are with me? Resilience. Type that in the comments. I'd like to see. Make sure y'all here with me. Again, my name is Dr. Nana, those who don't know me, but we've been on this journey for a while and we're towards the end. We have, I think, maybe one or two more sessions to go, and you've made it this far. So give yourself a round of applause. And I like the fact that we are dealing with resilience and taking the time to reflect and to even consider how we've grown, throughout this process. So, guys, we're going to get ready. I want us to welcome our powerful coach, Miss Robin Charrell, and you all prepare your hearts, your minds to receive as we continue to rise in resilience with our coach. Can I turn it over to you? Miss Robin?
Sure, sure. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I'm glad to be back with the group again on to actually go further and talking about building resilience. So thank you again for the opportunity to share. This is a topic that's very near and dear, to my heart and I think it's an important skill, and so to be able to share with young leaders and to say, hey, understand we're going to face different things in life, but we have something inside of us that's bigger than anything that we're going to face and to remind us to tap into it and to use the thing that God has given us to not only just bounce back as you indicated, but to move forward. So with that, let's go ahead. So just kind of wanted to do a quick review, and Dr. Anana, she opened it up doing some review covering some of the stuff that we talked about in session one. But then we're going to look a little bit at the journal prompts, and then we're going to talk more about building resilience. So in all transparency, the journal prompts have already, if you did them, then they already started you on the road to building resilience. And so we're just going to tap into a little bit more about that. And then we're going to go through some frameworks to help you continue to build resilience and then just how it applies to leadership. So real quick, in session one, we talked about, as Dr. Anana indicated, it's a God-given strength that rises when our own strength runs out. Um, really want to tap into that mindset of when things happen, they are kind of setting us up or preparing us for our next season. And that we always want to keep remembering, keep it front of mind that we belong to God. And so we want to trust him. We want to trust his plan for our life when it's hard and even when it's painful, knowing and believing that he's still working it all out for our good. We talked about why we need to embrace it because again, we can't avoid the storms of life, but we can't have change our perspective when we face them and how we face them and how we show up, right? And understanding that resilience is part of our faith protection. And then we talked a little bit about why it's important, why resilience is important. It supports our mental health and wellness. It's a very necessary part for personal growth and development. It helps us achieve personal success, and it has a very positive impact on leadership. So just to recap what we talk about leadership, again, it helps shape how we lead. As young leaders, you have the opportunity to set the tone for your generation. When people see you thriving and overcoming in the face of adversity, then you help them to know that they can do it too, right? Helps us to lead with clarity and calm. We earn trust through endurance. We model humility and growth, right? So you don't have to be perfect. You just got to keep growing, keep going and keep growing, and then keep showing up even when it's hard. Let's stay faithful to our task. Let's stay faithful to our assignment because that's what leaders do. So this is just a recap of the different journaling prompts that, one should have been used for every day. And the journal prompts, again, had a purpose. So we're going to look into like what the journaling prompts did, how they were designed to help build resilience. So you've already started the framework in that. So there's a journaling prompt that was kind of defined. The purpose was to define and personalize resilience, right? You want to make it personal and real in your life, like what it may look like, although the underlying theme will be the same, maybe the same, but you want to make it real and personal for you. So what it looks like for you may slightly vary from what it looks like for me. So I want to make sure that you make it personal and you make it real for you. There were prompts that were designed to help you reflect on past strength. This is reinforcing the fact that you've faced things before, you've overcome, you can, and you will again. And then there were prompts to help us like identify patterns or triggers or things that causes us hiccups or being able to recognize like our stress patterns helps us intervene before burnout sets in. So prompt one the first journal prompt again was, to make it personal for you. Prompts 2 and 3, we want to make sure that you are documenting like things that you've overcome in the past, right? It's hard sometimes when you're in the midst of things. Life can feel overwhelming, or situations can, feel overwhelming at times. But when you reflect on the fact that you've overcome things in the past, it helps you to remember who you are and the strength that you possess inside of you. And then again, the triggers, like, so just kind of giving you that personal reflective insight to know when you may be facing burnout, or some areas where you may need to ask and seek for, support, or to recognize if you have like some negative habits or negative things that you do when you start to feel stressed, or if you have positive ones, right? So then you want to obviously tap into the positive behaviors or responses to stress and avoid the negatives or replace the negatives. And then there were also journaling prompts that were designed to help you reconnect with your faith and your purpose, right? To remind you that your resilience is anchored in your faith. You want to draw from God's strength and His presence and His promises. So we were um, we were never created to like face life alone. When we lean and fully rely on Him, then that's where, that I can do all things through Christ whose strength is me. That's where that kicks in, because we're not operating on our own strength, we're operating in His. There were prompts to help you release mental and emotional weights, right? Because we are often kind to others, but not always kind to ourselves. So prompts were used to remind us to show self-compassion, to let go and address negative thinking. And that also helps us strengthen our emotional balance. And then we want to lean into, and so there were prompts for leaning in to support and then taking the necessary actions, right? So this is the breakdown of the 14 prompts. So if you've done this pre-work, then you've already started the process of building, building resilience. And I would recommend even keeping as you start to go and grow through life, like keeping track of your successes and as well as keeping track of your lessons. So maybe you didn't get the desired result when you took a set of action, but what did you learn from it, right? So and then having that documented body of work as you start to go through life, and you may be starting your career or advance into next levels. One of the things that I've learned in my 25 years in working in the corporate sector, um, they want to know what you've done. Like there's results based, where even if it's even from a nonprofit sector, if you're seeking grants or entrepreneurs, if you're trying to get somebody to invest, they're going to want to know your results. Like what success can we look forward to in partnering with you? Well, documenting your successes, where you face challenges and where you overcome, as well as documenting your lessons, gives you that framework that you can always go back and look and see who you are and remind yourself of the things that you've accomplished. So journaling is a good way to keep that process going. So now let's talk about what I call 5 R's for building resilience. We're going to talk about reframe, refocus, resolve, recover, and rest. And so reframing is shifting our perspective to how we view our challenges, right? We want to look at things in a different light. So I added some examples to just make sure it was clear. So instead of asking like, why is this happening to me? Reframing it would be, what is this teaching me? Like, what am I supposed to learn from this process? Or what did I learn in going through this? So this gives you an opportunity to always, we would have what we call at work after action review. So every time we did a project, we would go back and we would look at and review the things that went well, and then the things that didn't necessarily go as planned. But we always wanted to be focused on like lessons. What lessons could we learn from phase 1 to phase 2? This is something that definitely can be used in your personal life as well. And so then the leadership impact on is, when leaders reframe adversity, what you do is you establish a culture of growth and optimism. Being afraid to fail hinders projects. It hinders leaders. It doesn't. It discourages people from taking risk. So as a leader, you want to build a culture of growth and optimism. You don't want people so afraid to try anything because they're afraid of failure. So when you reframe adversity and are always looking at it from a perspective of what did we learn or what can we learn or how can we build or improve on it, then that the undertone is a culture of growth and optimism. And then refocus. So refocusing is simply directing or redirecting our attention to our new goals and priorities with clarity. So one of the things, an example of this is maybe you've been comparing yourself to how somebody else is handling a situation or they're matriculating through a process or a program, but you don't know all of the things that they face, and you may not even necessarily know their goal. So when you stop and pause and look at your goals and redirect and refocus your attention, then it helps you to get back on the path to where you want to go to accomplish what it is and to really be in alignment and complete your actual assignment. So and then what you can do is you can create a plan or a vision board, like reflecting your new direction or your refocus. So what am I going to do to get back on track, to get back in alignment with what my assignment is, right? So again, your leadership impact here is when you leaders who refocus, you inspire clarity, you provide direction, and you help others realize their purpose. Resolve. Resolve is kind of one of my favorite buzzwords because it's all about commitment, right? And it's unwavering determination and action. So this is, you know what, no matter what happens, I'm going to stay the course. No matter what I face, no matter what challenges present themselves, I'm going to, so when motivation starts to fade, when the challenges pop into place, or you get derailed by a setback or whatever, that resolve is that unwavering commitment. It's determination to keep going no matter what. And people trust leaders who stay the course. When they see that you're committed to facing adversity and to thrive in the face of adversity, to keep going, then that helps to establish and build your followers' trust in you. And then recovering is about, again, embracing setbacks as growth opportunities and moving forward with purpose. So you may have to, stop. You may have to step back, reassess, and then return with new boundaries and clarity. So recovering really shows emotional maturity, and it teaches your team that it's okay to reset. And then the last R is rest. And rest is not simply just doing nothing. Rest really is being intentional to take the time to allow your body, your mind, and your spirit to replenish. It's maybe unplugging, taking vacation or taking holidays, digital detoxes, quiet morning routines, doing things that fill you so you can be clear about it's really allowing God to refill your cup, being intentional about allowing God to refill you so that you can continue going with your assignment down the path, and staying in alignment. So the impact of a leader taking rest: you're clear, you're compassionate, and you provide a very positive example, right? When your followers or your teammates, when they see that you take time to rest and replenish, you're also giving them permission to do the same. Any questions about the 5 R's? Okay, I don't see anything in the chat. All right, so we'll keep going. So the next thing that we're going to talk about in building resilience is a fight system. Now the fight system is a system that was given to me by God during a fierce battle in my life, and it was in all transparency a time when I really wanted to just give up. And the that little voice in me said that you can make it. Not only can you make it, but I'm going to tell you how you have to make it, what you need to do to make it. And you're going to have to fight. Like, you're going to have to fight for you. You're going to have to fight for your dreams. You're going to have to fight for, in some cases, your family. And in this instance, fighting is not a negative thing. And so you're fighting for your resilient self, and that's always a positive thing to do, right? So because if you're not fighting for what you want, then the things that you don't want will automatically, like, they will take over. So let's walk through the fight system as another tool for building resilience in daily life. And so the F in fight is focusing on your desired outcome, right? We talked about goals, um, and desires. And so this is simply like making sure you have clear goals and intentions, like that you have a personal definition of what success looks like to you. And you want to visualize that using imagery and positive self-talk to help yourself fuel belief. So think about, have you ever had a dream, and the dream could have been so intense that you may have even woke up like in a sweat, or you're physically, your body was like physically tense because it was something that was happening, or you were running, and so you may wake up and you're startled and you're out of breath. That's because our minds are so powerful that even our imagination can be so strong that our body doesn't necessarily know the difference. So visualizing success puts your mind, your energy in on that path to achieving what it is you want to get out of life. So you want to use visualization as a tool to help you stay focused on your outcome, and then take aligned actions. So stopping and breaking big goals down into steps, and then taking those small actions that build momentum, and to keep acting on purpose, with purpose. The I in the five system is investing in yourself. Now, let me say investing positively in yourself, because whether you're doing something positive or whether you're doing nothing at all is an investment, right? But it's all about what type of return do you want to yield from that investment. So you want to invest in yourself in positive ways, right? By prioritizing self-care. Our bodies are designed to operate and to replenish when we rest, when we give our bodies time to sleep and rest. Nutrition and mental health, like, are things that we have to be mindful of, and it's really not negotiable. So self-care is one key way of investing in yourself positively. Keep growing, challenge yourself, read, learn, um, stretch yourself, focus on different things, involve yourself in activities that challenge you, that challenge your mind. Helps to keep your mind sharp. So we want to keep growing. We're going to make sure that we're investing time into to develop personally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. So we want to make sure that we're investing in ourselves in a positive way. So practicing mindfulness, using journaling, praying, and then self-reflection are ways that you can invest in yourself positively. The G stands for guarding your gates. Um, you have to be mindful about setting boundaries, like saying no when necessary so that you don't overextend yourself. You're supposed to give from your overflow. So you have to make sure that you're taking in positive so that you're in a position to be able to do that. Avoiding negative influences. So you may need to distance yourself from negative people or negative environments. Now, let me be clear, because I do believe that sometimes we're called to be a light in dark places. So you just want to make sure that you're checking in with God and say, okay, Is this a place where you've called me to be a light to somebody else, that they can see you, they can see you working in my faith and working resilience, in me. So I don't want to miss my assignment by just shutting everybody and everything off. But when it's not your assignment, and when you're not, when you start to lose who you are or your ability to hold on to the positive, then those are things that you may need to avoid. You may need to protect yourself from. So, what you listen to, what you watch, what you're consuming in media, in social media, what you're consuming, listening to music. Those are all things that go down into our spirit and affect us. And so you want to guard your gates from negative things, or things that are not going to build you up or put you in a positive light. And then building healthy routines. So you want to anchor your day. You want to begin your day and end your day with things that help to fuel and build your resistance. I mean, your resilience, sorry. And then the H is helping someone else. Um, there's always people who could benefit from our help. And this is not, again, not overextending, but it's showing up by either mentoring or volunteering to support somebody else. Maybe during their rough season, reaching out to a friend, being a good voice, or a lending an ear, allowing people to rely on you, getting out into your community, helping those that are maybe in a challenging position, right? So this is leading with empathy, being present for others. It helps you to build your own strength. It also is helps to build on gratitude, to help you see where you are and how you can be a benefit, to others. And then it helps to foster community, right? You are a support system for others, and then you can surround yourself with a support system as well. And then the last is T, is trusting the process. And so, right, we want to embrace uncertainty, letting go of needing to be able to control the outcomes. Like, the key thing here is remembering who you belong to. You want to trust and rely on God. You want to practice patience. Progress is not always visible, but as long as you continue to take action, it's always happening. Celebrating celebrating the journey, every step you are, every step, even the small ones, matter. You want to just make sure that you're knowing, like, even though I can't see it, I know that as long as I continue to stay the course, as long as I continue to put God first, as long as I continue to stay on my assignment, as long as I continue to make small steps, then I know that his word says he's true to his word. All things work together for the good of them. And that all is me, that all is my circumstances. It falls into play. So I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to trust and rely on God. I'm going to, hold fast to the word and to the assignment that he given me. And I'm going to stay this course. And then you're going to receive the outcome, his desired outcome. So just trusting the process. So any questions or comments about the fight system?
I love the fight system thinking about leadership. This is probably the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much there. I just didn't know that. I love it. The boundaries, the refocusing, the reframing. I think all of these uh principles is really
Mm-hmm.
leadership, right? And I like how you said that people are looking for leaders to help reframe the situation, to look for the solution, to be
Mm-hmm.
consistent. All of it. It's just really, really good. I'm grateful for that. And I see it like now more than ever. Like it does, leadership is really about being resilient. And I see how the fight system can really be so practical, right? But it's certainly like foundational for a leader. So thank you for that. Just jumped in with that.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments or questions or anything you want to review?
I with the resilience with being a leader, um in the process of handling our own doubts or our figuring out the path, figuring out the challenge that is before me, the A, B, C, and D's of it, how do I, as a leader, help someone else who is on that path?
Can you say it
Well,
one more
you
time?
know, like should I share? Is that an instance where I would share my challenge, how I handled it, how I got through it, and is that actually something that would be receptive to someone who is actually just looking for leadership?
So I think authenticity is always something that people are going to be receptive to. So and being vulnerable, being having a level of transparency, because the reality of it is, Cecile, is that no one has all of the answers, right? So no person in earthly form has all of the answers. So, using an opportunity or taking an opportunity to be vulnerable and sharing how you faced a challenge and how you've overcome something in the past, and encouraging um, your teammates or your subordinates or even your peers, to be open and to do the same. Like it creates an opportunity for um dialogue and honest communication. It creates an opportunity for brainstorming, right? Because I may be more technical. um I may I may have a more technical perspective that causes me to overlook some of the people perspectives, some of the human aspect or the emotional aspect, but that may be your wheelhouse. And so if I'm open and willing to share and be transparent and say, hey, here is something that I've went through or something that I've dealt with, and this is kind of a challenge that I'm facing right now, and this is kind of how I'm thinking of it, but I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Is there anything that you think that you have to add or contribute or another perspective? I want to make sure that I'm looking at it from all sides, and I know I have a tendency to be more black and white or technical. What are your thoughts about a thing? Well, not only are you showing them that you value them as a member and believe that they have something to contribute, which I believe everybody has something to contribute. Most of the time people don't, because they're never given an opportunity to use their voice in that way. But you're letting them know that you don't have all the answers, and so you're not expecting them to have all the answers. And so now, as a leader, I know that one, you value me. Two, that you don't have it all together, so you're human just like me. And then three, we can solve some problems and do some things together. So I think it's a great opportunity to share, and to bring other people in to help them, build their resilience muscles as well.
How do you, when you are sharing your challenge, how do you know at what point to stop so that you're not being, I have a problem with being too detailed, and I just want to give them the overall so that I am opening up the door for dialogue. How do I create that stopping point within myself? Is
So
it
is this a person, are you asking them to help with a personal issue, or is it that something that a team is facing? Does that
it's
make sense?
it's yeah, it's something that they're facing and asking me for guidance. And so in that point of sharing, I want to make sure that I don't overwhelm them or overshare. Am I making sense?
Yes, yeah, I'm following you now.
Okay, you do, okay.
Um,
How
so
to those those points for myself.
So
When
there's a format that we use. I'm drawing from my corporate experience, right? So there's a format that we use in interviewing, and it's called the STAR format, right? And so and I would say this would be a good model that you could use in sharing. And so it's simply describing the situation or the task,
Okay.
the actions that you took, and the result. And so when you would use that format in the example that you gave, and then you would bridge it to their, scenario. So what you're doing is you're letting them know, hey, here's a situation that I faced in the past. These are some of the things that I did, and this is what it got me. And then you can give them the opportunity to say, okay, well, ask them by bridging it. Okay, well, what are some options do you think you have based on your, scenario? Or what is the thing that's causing you, what do you view as the biggest obstacle? And then what actions are you considering? Let's talk through those, you know, and then talk about potential results. But I think one of the biggest things is that people are afraid of failing. But I think that once you establish that failure is not final, like, and it's not, fatal, and it's not final, that if they don't get, the desired result, then take it as a lesson, and then what could you do differently, in the future. And so I think once you establish or ease that fear of, if I make a mistake, it's kind of the end of the world. Once you ease that fear, then I think people are able to think more clearly about options and then be willing to take actions.
Thank you, Robin, because I'm in the middle of something like that with someone, and
Okay.
and thank you. That is really helping me with my next conversation with them.
Good. Thank you.
Yes, that's yes, because that's a tool that it's a muscle that I need to exercise.
Right.
what was the
Thank you.
acronym?
Mm-hmm.
It
All
was
right.
it
Any other
DAR?
questions?
What was the acronym? Because you said describe actions and
Star.
results. Huh?
It's a star. Yep. It's a situation or task. Describe the situation or task, the action that you took, and then the results. Now, if the results weren't the desired result, then what would you do differently in the future? Star, STAR.
Okay, got it.
So it's situation slash task,
Hmm.
the actions that were taken, and then the results.
Then, good day, everyone.
And I take a
Okay.
day.
I would love to ask a question. Now, how do I motivate or support someone who needs guidance from me while I'm not really guided within myself? Maybe I'm not that confident with myself at the moment. I am trying to become resilient. I am trying to give the best I can, and I am giving that. But because maybe it's been so long, I've been telling myself that maybe you're not worth whatever you are achieving right now. I never saw myself within the spotlight of being a leader, of leading people, of advising people, of being a model to some people to look up to me, of achieving all the good things I'm achieving now. I've never seen myself there. And I myself, maybe as a leader, I'm still struggling to get to that point. Now, how do I guide a person who needs advice from me while I myself I'm not I'm not really motivated. I'm still conflicted within myself. Because I saw that when I was answering the questions. I think let me check. It was question 8. What negative thoughts do I need to let go of?
Mm-hmm.
Because while well, the earlier years of my high school, from grade 8 to grade 10, I've not seen myself as a person who would succeed academically or even be part of the students' governance body. And now I'm at a point where I can succeed very well academically. I'm in the students governing body, and I'm getting these good opportunities from you, ma'am, and everyone else. And it's overwhelming to take that myself. And then you also have other people looking up to me for guidance, helping them while I still see that I myself am still conflicted within.
So I think the first thing to recognize, even for, for yourself, is that being resilient is a journey, a never-ending journey, and not a destination, right? So at every level in life, there's always going to be you're always going to be on the path to grow, develop, and to improve. If you can embrace that you are on a journey and every day is a new opportunity to improve um, from yesterday, to improve upon yesterday, then it starts with that reframing piece that we were thinking about, right? So it's no, I haven't achieved the level that I want, as of yet, and I face some challenges, but I'm not giving up on me. So if you refuse to give up on you and you show others and you're honest and transparent, with others about this is the journey that I'm on, and you can join me on this journey, then I think that helps people to know and understand that I don't have to have it all together, right? So I'm not as evolved as I would want to be, and yet I'm here sharing and being open and honest with you about, what, we can be on this journey together, and every day is a new opportunity for us to get better and to get stronger and to um see ourselves differently, right, than what we did on yesterday. So being willing to say that it's a journey and being willing to be on the journey with somebody else, I think that puts you in a position to be able to help, and to motivate them. And there are people who want to see the real, if that makes sense. And when I say that, what I mean is they want to see the back behind the scenes. We talk about social media as people showing their highlight reels, right? So they show you all the success that they're achieving, but they don't necessarily show you the nights when they cried because they've tried this 10 times and it didn't work, and they really, they feel like giving up, but they push themselves and then they get the success that they wanted on the 11th or the 12th time. I think when you're willing to show that behind the scenes and just say, willing to, going back to that resolve and saying that I'm not going to give up on me, no matter what. As long as I have breath in my body, then I have an opportunity to do it again, and I have an opportunity to improve. I
Thank you,
think
ma'am.
that's
Thank you. That's really
that,
helpful.
I'm sorry, say again.
That's really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's something that everybody will be attracted to and can draw and learn from.
Thank you, ma'am.
I would add, or I guess continue the thought, because not seeing yourself as a leader is probably the biggest shift, is that you are a leader. There are people watching you, right? There are people observing you, right? And I think when you talked about resolve building trust, right? The longer they see you keep going, or
Mhm.
participating or contributing, or you're in clubs or whatever it is that you're doing in all different settings, you're leading. It could be people older than you, it could be people younger than you, but people are watching you.
Mhm.
That hands, like, it just doesn't, it never ends. Like, people are watching you, so we all have the capacity to lead, but understanding that, being self-aware that, what, in every instance today, if I'm going to school, if I'm going to work today, I'm a leader, like I can have an impact. um I think that's always a good starting point, and you have to keep reminding yourself. And it sounds like you are coming to that point. Like you never looked at yourself as a leader, right? And so I think that's again as the coach was saying, this is a journey, right? And I think that I'm grateful for you to say that you're starting to shift, your own personal perspective on leadership, on you being the leader. And so the earlier you really, and I think what else, I'm trying to think of what of the other prompts was, like you said, the negative thoughts, right? But it was one of the ones that I used this week. I think about it, but shifting your
What truth,
mindset will
what
really
truth
have
do I
there
read?
could be other. Did you see another
Yeah.
prompt, something that you were thinking that will help
What
with that?
what truth do I need to remember today?
Okay, very
And
good. I was
that
like, I
and
know
that
there was one that I
yeah.
used this week, and I thought about you. Like, what truth is that? What is it that I need to remember today? And that is it, that you are a leader, like that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Like God has created me this way, and so that just changes your whole perspective, the way you operate, the way you show up, right? And so it's no more questioning that Nadi is a leader. That's never a question from this day forward. You know that
Right.
hands down, confidently, right? And so being able to remind yourself, right, every day, again, it could be a Bible verse, it could be affirmations, right? That's what we're doing this for, is because when you
Hmm.
start off that way, right, everything else after that will help support that and build and continue your day that way, because it's really just a trick. Like this is the enemy really wants you to not know who you are and who God has created you to be. So we know that. I can say that
Right.
those on the line here, as coaches, trainers, that you absolutely are a leader,
And
right?
then here's the
Um,
other thing.
yeah.
We tend to think of leaders as being the person at the front of the room.
Mhm.
And that person is,
Angeke,
they are
isikho
leading.
ingaba.
I'm sorry, say again.
Ife
And
nama-ice.
No, I think he might just be talking. Go ahead.
oh, okay. We tend to think of leaders as the person being like up front, or the person having the microphone, so to speak, right? But you lead from wherever you are. Like your presence,
Hmm.
how you show up is an act of leadership.
Yeah.
How you interact with, how you treat people is an act of leadership.
Mhm.
When you're the person who recognizes, that everybody has something to contribute, and that person who, nobody else is talking to, but you are intentional about talking to that person and giving that person a voice, that's an act of leadership. So leadership is not just standing, at the front of the room. Leadership is how you carry yourself and who you are, as a person, when no one is watching. That's the true measure of who you are as a leader. Is what are you doing when the spotlight is not on you? How do you treat people? How do you carry yourself? How do you treat yourself? All of those are things that demonstrate leadership.
Good, 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 good. No, I think that was a great question. No, it's okay. And
Okay.
even going back to um, Cecile's question, also what came to mind um, was like, and I like the structure of the star, right? Because that helps
Mm-hmm.
you to, not veer off, but keep the points that way. But then also, I would say is like, like when we say reading the room, I think that's a big leadership skill, right? Knowing when that person is still receiving what I'm saying, right? Or have they checked
Mm-hmm.
out, right? You could tell, right? So I certainly feel like that's a big thing, a skill to learn, is to be able to discern, when what I'm saying is being received and when that person is checked out, or if they've been turned off or they're offended by
Mm-hmm.
it, so it's like when I'm saying too much, it's just that sensitivity and that level of discernment, that will do you just continuously, like, I want to grow in that so I can sense whoever I'm talking to, because I can just keep going, I can become passionate about it, I can just go down and down, but is it still appropriate? Is it still being received? Am I just putting words out in the air and it's not hitting the mark, and then just backing up, and just leaving where it is? Because you want it just to have impact. You don't want to just, so that was the one thing that came to my mind when she was speaking about how to, really help someone else, in that situation, but still being open and transparent and vulnerable to whatever point, but it's just being sensitive, you know, giving it, see how it receive, giving time to
Hmm.
respond, being okay with silence, like, just letting it, it's just a dance, if you will. It just takes a level of tact. And I think, over time we all continue to grow in that for sure.
All
Absolutely.
right.
Any other questions we could?
So my final thoughts on resilience, just going back. So again, it doesn't just help you to survive, it shapes how you show up in the world and how you lead. When you bounce back, right? When you keep going, when you rise, you give others not only permission to, but the belief that they can do it as well. You lead again with clarity. You earn trust through showing up even on the difficult days. You model growth, right? You don't have to be perfect, just committed to showing up and basically growing through, the things that we face in life. Key thing to remember is that, you're not on this journey alone. Faith is the foundation for us not only to face the challenges of life, but to thrive and to grow through them. So remember that resilience is in you, right? It's something that God put in us. We want to embrace it. We want to build on it. Um, and we just want to use it to go and to grow through life. So with that, Dr. Nana, that's all I have. You're on mute.
No, I'm talking and you ain't hearing nothing I say. Well, we thank you so much. Just looking at this, resilience is in all of us, right? This is not something that it's there, right? And so just tapping in, embracing it and building it. I love the fact that it's a journey. We're all at a certain point, but just stay committed to it. I want to thank you because, like I said, you gave us the assignment, right? The last class, and I have been implementing it just by way of testimony, even for myself. And so it still is a journey. It still is a process, right? And building and growing and resilience is such a key. I think I talked to you about this last night. It's like a muscle. We keep building
Mm-hmm.
on it, and resilience is certainly that. And it's more than surviving. It's really about thriving. And again, that leading, right? And I did not realize this prior to, taking this class with you, how much resilience is a part of leadership. I think I know personally I took it for granted, right? Um, and I'm grateful that have taken the time to really flesh that out and for you sharing the fight system with us. It's really been a blessing for me. So I just want to thank you for your expertise, for tapping in, giving us some nuggets. The star is definitely an added one, a little bonus we got from the question from Cecile. So we appreciate that. And I just want to thank you. I want all the students, to continue to, again, this is a journey. So as we
Yeah.
close today's session, I just want to remind each of us that resilient isn't about never facing hardships, right? It's about rising every time we do, because they're going to happen. There's no way around it. And now you've really gained some practical tools, some not even just tools, but insights, right? A perspective that should
Mhm.
really strengthen your emotional, your mental, and your spiritual resilience. Right. So continue to reflect. I want you to share, things that come to mind, in our WhatsApp group, in an email, if you have your own coach. I just want you to continue to lean in, right? And remember that this is your story, it's your strength, and you are a leader, and your leadership does matter. Your leadership does matter. So as we continue this process, even though we're coming towards the end of it, really seeing yourself as a leader and knowing that your leadership, your contribution, right, your perspective does matter. And the way you bounce back, the way you carry your faith, right, even when difficulty, even when you don't feel it, right, even when it's not there, right, even when you may even be down, right, or have to push through the way you support others. And I think that's what Nati was saying too. Like, how do I support others when I don't think and feel that way? I promise you that's probably every day. I'm sure Coach Robin can tell you, right? That's her being here today, right? Was a part
Yeah,
of her own resilience journey. And
yeah,
that's what makes you a leader of impact. That authenticity, that resilience is what gets it done, right? And we will continue to grow and build on that. And you don't see it yet, right? But you're building the roots, right? And then on the top, you'll start to see the fruit of it. So I want you to keep journaling. I want you to
okay.
stay connected, right, to a support system. And don't be afraid to lead from your own story. I think that was a lot of what she was saying too. Don't be afraid, right, to share what's going on, your vulnerability, right? And just a thank you again to our guest speaker, Miss Robin, for pouring into us today your wisdom, your authenticity, and your grace. And we'll keep building, all the leaders as we continue to grow in civility, purpose, and resilience now. Let's keep this going. Ms. Robbins, anything else you wanted to share in closing?
Just thank you all for, thank you for the opportunity, Dr. Anana. Thank you all for showing up, for listening, and for allowing me to, as Dr. Anana indicated, to share part of my resilience, journey, with you. And so just grateful, and just excited about what God has in store, for all of us as we continue to tap into Him and to rely on Him and to, use our faith foundation as we walk out, resilience in life. So thank you.
Indeed. Indeed. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, thank you all again. So, guess what? I guess y'all don't have no homework. So, you better go back and review your classes, your recordings, and if there's any assignments missed, our last segments pretty much are going to be going into climate change, but even the creativity piece of it. So we have two different speakers that are coming up for that. So I want you to stay tuned. We might combine them. We just got to see how the schedule fits. But we'll be going into those last C's, and then we'll get ready to a big C is celebrate, right? Celebrating you for getting to the conclusion of this course. And now being recognized as a global youth civility leader. So you got to get those assignments in. So make sure you continue to do the work. Go back to any assignments where we check in attendance as well as your homework. And the assignments that have been submitted, we'll be able to verify that. And then we have the time to celebrate and recognize you for completing this training. So until next time, stay strong, stay kind. And y'all stay ready to lead. Y'all know what we do. So thank you again for attending today's class. You take care, okay?